Welcome to the latest edition of the Scottish Climber YouTube channel. It's something a little different for this film. Rather than it being a vlog of a mountain trip in Scotland, it's a review from a recent summer holiday to the Alps and the Italian lakes. So I've taken some footage during the trip. I didn't actually vlog as I went along, so I'll add-on commentary to explain the clips as we go through them. It was a two-centre holiday. It started off in Obergurgl, high in the Ötztal Alps in the Austrian Tirol. And then we moved south of the Alps, crossing the Timmelsjoch pass to stay in Nago Torbole, which is located at the north end of Lake Garda. So let's jump in and we'll start off in Obergurgl. I hope you enjoy it. Here we are, first morning in the Alps, and we're straight up to 2,670 metres at the Hoymut Alm, where it's a spectacular view of 21 peaks over 3,000 metres. We're very lucky to get access easily from Obergurgl to here, and I'd actually been to this point 27 years ago in 1996, and it is amazing the changes that you see. Since then, the glaciers have definitely receded quite substantially, which is an indication of climate change. We then returned by the cable car to Obergurgl, which is sitting at a height of 1,930 metres, so it's actually the highest village in Austria with a parish church, and it's renowned for its winter skiing. When you're staying in accommodation that is registered with the local tourist board, it's likely you will be able to benefit from the Ötztal summer card, which gives you access to all cable cars, lots of attractions in the area over the summer season, and it offers really good value, and it comes free with many places. In the afternoon, we used the card to get another cable car from Obergurgl up to the height of 2,839 metres using the Kirchen car ban 1 and 2 rides. From there you get a great view of the Ötztal and Stubai Alps, including the Wildspitze, which is the second highest mountain in Austria at 3,770 metres. Just outside the village of Obergurgl is the Zierbinwald, which is an area of Arola pine. It's situated about 1,950 metres to 2,100 metres, and it's a really nice spot. I did visit there a few times during our stay. And then from the Zierbinwald you can go up to the Rotmoos waterfall, which again is a really spectacular sight. We were lucky with the weather. Generally it was fine. There were a couple of cloudier days. Here we are, we're on another trip from Solden up to the Lake Garda at 3,050 metres. It involved 2 cable cars, and it was actually a location which was featured in the James Bond film Spectre, so you may recognise some of the sites here. A really stunning arrival at the 3,050 metre top. It's amazing the infrastructure they've got for the cable cars and skiing in this area. And there's an exhibition that you can go around, including, as you see here, a replica from the scene where the plane crashes in Spectre. So we spent some time there, and at that stay, the clouds were coming and going, and it was very atmospheric. Looking here as we descended, you can look towards the Timmelsjoch pass, where we would go on in a few days' time when we headed south over the Alps for the next part of the stay. But we're very lucky that we were actually above the clouds. It doesn't often happen in Scotland that you get that during the day. Afternoon, this was going to be another cable car run. It was actually our highest point of the whole trip at the Tiefenbach Bahn gondola, which takes you to a height of 3,250 metres. You get a stunning view from there of the Mittelberg Ferner Glacier, which comes down from the Wildspitze, which you can see in the centre, and it's at 3,774 metres. And as I said earlier, that's the highest point in the Ötztal and also second highest mountain in the whole of Austria. So really enjoyed that. It was good to be up at high altitude. I've not been that height for a number of years. During this journey we passed the Rettenbach Glacier. Another great trip is to the Stuben Fall at Umhausen, which is a town further down the valley, but it's still in Ötztal. This is actually Tyrol's highest waterfall at 159 metres, and there's a recently constructed bridge and staircase which has got over 700 steps, which leads to the top of the waterfall, but there's viewing platforms in the way. As you can see, at some of them you get a real soaking, but to be honest it was quite nice because it was warm that day, so it was quite good just to feel the cooling water. And when you get to the top, once you manage to catch your breath, you do get a fantastic view over the surrounding area. It really is a beautiful place, so I'll let you enjoy some of the sounds and sights from there. I would certainly recommend this for anybody that is planning a trip to the area. It's definitely a must-see. It takes you about maybe an hour or so to get up to the top of the waterfall, and it's definitely worth the effort. Another day trip was to Vent, which is situated at 1,900 metres in the adjoining valley. Again, a stunning location. I'd been here in 1996 when we walked up to the Martenbusch Hütte and then ascended the Kreuzspitze, which gave us superb views. Today, though, it was just a case of going up a little bit on the path so that we could see the distant Simmelaun, and then we returned back down to the village. It really is a beautiful part of the world, and I'd have liked to have gone further, but we just didn't have the time, unfortunately. So definitely need to go back. We also took the chairlift from the village of Vent up to a height of 2,350 metres, and it gave you a fantastic view across the surrounding area. The mountains really are outstanding here. There's so much variety, and I would recommend, if you're in that area, definitely to take the chairlift. Only takes you about 10 minutes to get up to this height. There's a further section that takes you higher, but they had closed for the lunch break, so we just went to the mid station. One morning I got up early to see the sunrise. You'll see it here in the time lapse from Obergurgl. And then I continued on to have a walk through the Zierbernwald. I was lucky to hear some of the birds in the morning. The plan for the early morning walk was to continue up to the Belstein Alm, which is a historic alpine site. It's located about 2,200 metres, and there's actually evidence of human activity here for the last 10,000 years, which is quite incredible because it was just at the end of the last ice age. And this is actually 3,500 years before Ötztal the Iceman would have been trying to walk over the Alps. You've perhaps heard of Ötztal. He's the Iceman that's stored now in Bolzano after being uncovered as the glaciers receded and the ice melted. I think that was about 20 years ago. And at this site at Belstein, there's actually evidence of activity over the centuries. They've got remains of a 12th and 17th century hay store, which is there, and apparently it was still being used into the 20th century. It was a really, really beautiful place. This was early in the morning, just about 7 o'clock, and I had the place to myself. There was nobody else around. Here is the actual Belstein Alm site where the recovery had been done for the artefacts. On the final morning in Obergurgl, again, I got up early before breakfast just to enjoy the last sunrise, and it didn't disappoint. And then just had a walk back through the meadows towards the hotel where we were staying. And then it was time to get packed and we begin the second leg of our journey. So this was going to involve a traverse of the Alps. We left the hotel and had to drive up to Hochgurgl and then across the Timmelsjoch pass. The Timmelsjoch Pass is located at Hochgurgl, and it's also known as the Passo del Rombo in Italian. And it goes up to a height of 2,474 metres, which makes it Austria's highest road border crossing. Along the pass, there's recently built architectural monuments and viewpoints, which really add further to the interest as you pass along. This is just on the Italian side as we're descending into Italy. It really is a road to keep for a sunny, clear day. And then the scenery changed and we were starting to see a more Mediterranean landscape with lots of flowers and a wide selection of trees, including palm trees. This is actually the north end of Lake Garda, Riva del Garda. Really nice place. Your mountains are still there though. It's really just the beginning of the Alps, and you've got some pre-Alp folding and really nice escarpments, and it's a lot of varied landscape to take in. We weren't, however, finished with the mountains. We went for a day trip to the Dolomites. Here's the Sassolungo. So it's a really stunning part of the world, and with the road that goes through them, you can quite easily enjoy many of the sights just from the roadside, which is all we had time for. I've been lucky to be in this area a couple of times, and again in 1996 we completed quite a few via ferrata routes, which let you get to places that a hill walker shouldn't be in, but with your harness and using the via ferratas you can do it quite safely. One of my favourite places is called Fosco. It's got a really nice view from it, the village to the Sella Plateau, and we spent a little bit of time there just enjoying the views towards the church, which you'll often see in calendars and sort of chocolate boxes, and it's just one of these scenes that you perhaps recognise the place even if you've never been. And then we went down to the neighbouring village of Corvara. There's the Sassonguer in the centre. Again, I climbed that back in 1996. And here's the Sella Plateau with the Pisboe being the highest point, which again we'd climbed back in 96. So it was really good just to revisit these old haunts and show the family some of the areas I'd been before. And then we had to return to the lakes, which involved quite a long drive back down to the main autostrada route, which runs from the Brenner Pass, and then we headed south. Nago Torbole sits at the north end of Lake Garda, and this is an old Roman road that you walk down to Torbole, which is on the shore of the lake. You can watch the paddle steamers passing by, and it's also a world-renowned area for windsurfing, probably the best area I think in the world for it because of the exceptionally reliable winds, which are guaranteed more or less every day, and it's a busy place, but fantastic scenery. I would certainly recommend visiting the area if you've not had a chance to do so. And here's a view coming up, just looking south from Torbole across the northern shores of Lake Garda. And you can see the wind was blowing, but it was actually a really warm day, so it's quite nice just to cool you down. And as the evening progresses, you get all the colours on the lake as the sun sets, and then once night falls, it's a beautiful scene, just the reflections on the lake. By this point too, it starts to get a little bit cooler, so everywhere's busy, the shops are still open, and there's a real buzz about the place. You can hear the crickets here, and again the paddle steamer just winding its way across the lake. There's really good trips you can make to various ports on the lakeside just using local steamer and boat service. If you're going to be staying in the area in the spring or autumn, I'd recommend doing some walking, including the Sentiero del Panale, which is a lakeside trail on the west shore from Riva del Garda. But while we were there, it was just too warm, so we stuck to the ferries, and here we are going to the beautiful town of Limone. So I hope you've enjoyed that review of the trip to the Austrian Tirol and Italian lakes. It'll be back to normal business for the future videos. I've got a couple in the pipeline from trips at the end of August and also early September that I have to share with you. So I'll get them edited and they should be on the channel in the next week or two. If you haven't already done so, I hope you could maybe consider subscribing to the channel to help boost the numbers and liking the video as well. I'll also post the links to my Instagram and Twitter channels, which I do post regularly on. And that really wraps up this film, so I look forward to catching you on the next adventure. Thanks for watching.